Welcome to the House of Ravenscroft, the podcast where real estate and financial planning align to help you build lasting wealth and make smarter moves, combining market expertise, financial strategy, and real-world lessons to help you make confident, wealth-building decisions. So, let's dive into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of House of Ravenscroft podcast. Today is the April 2025 market update. I'm going to be talking about a major shift that has officially arrived. Okay. So for the past few months, I've been waving a few little flags, saying, hey, things are getting softer. Prices on active listings are dipping. Homes under contract were starting to trend down. Hey, buyers, hey, sellers, investors, are you paying attention? Closed sales. They were holding on like a toddler clinging to a juice box. That's something relative in my life, being a dad to a 2.5-year-old. Until now. Now that juice box is leaking. Prices are starting to move. And for the first time in a long time, they're moving down. The markets, look at it like a pressure valve. It's slow, steady, it builds up over time. Looked calm on the surface, nothing was wrong. Meanwhile, underneath, there's a whole lot of pressure that's ready to pop. And over the last 2 weeks, it finally did. So prices are starting to slip here in the greater Phoenix metro, and it's happening fast. I know data can be boring, but it tells a very important story. So I'm going to throw some numbers at you here. The average price per square foot dropped from $316 at the end of March to $302 now. So that's a 4.3% drop in really just a few weeks. Plus, median prices slipped from $465,000 to $445,000. Homes are also selling for about 97% of the final list price. Now, that's just a hair lower than last year, but the biggest difference now is sellers that are throwing in concessions. Right? You've heard me talk about concessions before. The concessions help with closing costs. Concessions can help buy down the rate. Concessions can help with temporary rate buy downs. So that is the biggest difference is yes, they're selling for 97% of the final list price, but Mr. and Mrs. Seller threw in $10,000, $20,000, 3% of list price. Seeing concessions is much, much more common now. And ultimately that provides the buyer with a lower payment. So when we look at the market index, it's at 77. That is firmly in buyer market territory. It's still sliding every single month. It seems to be getting lower and lower, but it's more at a slow pace. So you may be asking, and maybe you're not, but I'm still going to tell you, what is driving the shift? We know supply and demand. We know basic economics, but there's more to it. It's not just that one thing. Here is what we're seeing. First is the luxury market. It's sort of fatigued. The $1 million plus segment, it started 2025. Look at it like you're popping a champagne bottle on New Year's Eve. 6 weeks later, it's pretty much like flat soda or water. Okay, so a big change in the luxury market. Now, there's a correlation between the luxury market and the next thing, the next topic is the stock market. So we have obviously the stock market and crypto. S&P 500 was almost down 10%. Bitcoin was nearly down 23%. So when portfolio balances drop, people aren't exactly sprinting out to buy multi-million-dollar homes. They're thinking more, let's sit this out. Let's maybe repaint the kitchen. Let's maybe convert that space to that office that I need. Let's redo this. Let's upgrade that. The other thing is multifamily. Investors have pretty much looked at multifamily and just said, no thanks. Permits in Maricopa and really anywhere in the greater Phoenix metro are the lowest since 2019. Most investors are tapping out, at least for now, looking at other options. And last, but certainly not least, is buyer demand. It's steady, but it's not surging. So, bring me to the next topic of inventory. The inventory piece is really one of the bigger elements in the greater Phoenix Metro when we look at the market. The days of inventory is now at 106 days. That's up from the 94-day average we had for years. We put it in perspective this way. From 2017 to 2022, obviously inventory stayed super low. Let's look at COVID. Yes, was it insanity? Absolutely. But that was 20 to 30 days of inventory. Yes, there was buyers clawing at each other, lines out the door for a chance to offer 25, 50, 100,000 over asking. Today, obviously, that is not what we're seeing. There's no clawing, there's no lines, no 37 offer weekends. Buyers have options now. And if we cross, say, 140 days of inventory, it's going to be watch out. Now for sellers, more on you later. So let's look at the market conditions. If you receive the market update via email or you subscribe to the blog, you're going to see a chart that shows all the 17 cities that comprise the greater Phoenix Metro, where they stand. For you listeners, I'm going to give you the highlights on what has changed, what markets are where. So April was an interesting month. 6 cities currently are technically sellers markets. Now I say technically because I'll say they're pretty much just hanging on. 5 cities are balanced. And then there are 6 cities that are official buyer markets. Now, a few things to call out with that chart. One is Chandler, who has been the number 1 city in the greater Phoenix Metro month after month for the last 5 years, dropped 8%, which is a big change for Chandler. The other one that's interesting is Avondale. Avondale is now in the 2nd spot, up 7% from last month. Paradise Valley, Gilbert, and Tempe had some big declines. And Buckeye, which for a long time has been our strongest buyers market, was up 9%. So great improvement for some of those markets. Tempe, Gilbert, Cave Creek, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley, not looking too hot for sellers right now. So the big picture, supply is rising, demand is steady, but prices are starting to catch up to reality. So it's time to break things down if you are a buyer and if you are a seller. Let's start with buyers. If you are a buyer, you are probably thinking, at least you should be thinking, is now my time? And yes, it is your time. It's looking better than it has in years. Recently, there was a spike in contracts between 250,000 and 500,000. This was at the end of last month. FHA applications jumped as well. And negotiations, these are the big one, on a $450,000 house, buyers are saving about $6,300 off asking. Plus, that's the key, plus getting $10,000 in closing costs covered on top. Now, this is more looking at it from an average. This is not factoring in city by city, neighborhood by neighborhood. I will tell you this is a minimum. That's a loss if you are getting only $6,300 off asking and $10,000 in closing costs on a $450,000 home. You are either in a seller's market, one of the seller's markets mentioned, or there's something unique with the home, or you're just dealing with a very stubborn seller. You can get a lot more in other parts of the valley. So for buyers, right now, you have more choices. You have an abundant amount of opportunity, whether you were looking at resale homes, whether you're looking at new construction. You also have more negotiations. you have more room for negotiating. And you have a market that's finally not sprinting away from you. So, again, for buyers, how I want to sum this up is forget the scary headlines and focus on your needs. Speaking of headlines, I actually want to bring something up because I received this article from probably, 9 clients that I can think of off the top of my head. It was an article that was published a little bit over a week ago. I believe it was on Newsweek. And it talked about how home sale cancellations surged nationwide. Thousands of deals are falling apart and falling through. Many people that were worried about, Phoenix is heading for a crash. Should we be backing out as well? I urge all of you, look at the article. There is no mention of Phoenix, no mention of Arizona in there. It's talking about how some of the top 10 cities with the most cancellations are struggling, right? So looking at this, let me pull it up for you here. So Orlando, Florida, the highest share of pending sales that fell out of contract. What is something that Orlando, Florida has as far as a issue right now? Could be rising insurance cost, rising HOA. The next one, Fort Worth, Texas, San Antonio, Texas. Looks like Las Vegas, Miami, Florida, Tampa, Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, and Riverside, California. So in looking at the list, Florida and Texas, they have built more new homes than any other state over the past couple years. So now, obviously, they're seeing unsold inventory, rising housing cost, rising insurance cost, rising HOA. So if you see a headline and it doesn't specifically mention Phoenix, Arizona, take it with a grain of salt. So we are okay here in Phoenix. Yes, there is a little bit of, think of this as a little correction. And it's an opportunity for buyers. And sometimes in some markets, in some cities, it's even an opportunity for sellers. I am seeing some sellers sell their home because it is technically in a seller's market, using those proceeds to buy a much bigger home at a much lower rate because they're buying, say, new construction on the other side of town. So there is a lot of opportunity. Now, on to sellers. I get it. It's challenging right now. If you are priced well and your house shows great, you will be okay. But if you're swinging for the fences, you have an outdated house, you need a new roof, new HVAC, you still have the tan and brown everywhere on the floors, the kitchen, the bathrooms, you're thinking, I want top dollar because my neighbor sold their house a year ago and I want that price. It's not going to happen. Okay, especially in luxury. There's contracts over $1 million are down 6 weeks straight. And then when we look at price reductions, they're up 68% compared to this time last year. And yes, that is even in the big fancy zip codes in Phoenix and Scottsdale. So for sellers, you need to prep properly. I provide a 5-page document to all my sellers or anyone considering selling. Here's a 5-page document with a huge list of things that you need to do. You need to price realistically. This is not 2021. This is not 2023. This is not 2024. We are in 2025 and you need to price your home according. Also, be flexible in negotiations. You need to be open to offer a concession to buyers. Buyers have tons and tons of options. They are not desperate. They can go get a new build in most of the areas in the greater Phoenix metro and get a 3.75% 30-year fixed rate, 4.5% 30-year fixed rate. Have their closing costs covered. Maybe even get a brand new backyard that the builder will provide to them. Plus, it's a brand new home. It has all the modern finishes, modern floor plans. They don't have to touch anything in that home for 20 plus years. So sellers, you need to know who your competition is. It's not your next door neighbor anymore. It is now builders plus your neighbor plus their neighbor. Buyers have options. Please remember that. So, in case you haven't caught on yet, the market has shifted here. It's not maybe, it's not on the horizon, it's already happening. Now, as we head into this summer, expect more pressure on prices, expect more negotiating power from buyers, and expect more work needed to get homes sold. Again, if you're buying, you have opportunity. You have tons of opportunity. Throw away the fear of, rates are at 6.5%. Doesn't matter in the long run. If you're selling, have a plan. You have to be sharp. You have to have realistic expectations. And if you're selling and you don't have to, don't sell. Turn the property into a rental. Stay there. Unless there is an absolute need for you to sell, why sell right now when we are mostly in a buyer's market? There are options out there for you to keep a home, to rent out the home, have someone else pay your mortgage, and still be able to get the home that you want or move to the location that you want or need to. So, the smart plays now come from understanding today's market. Again, not 2021, not 2023, today. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the House of Ravenscroft. If you found today's episode helpful, I'd love it if you'd follow the show and share it with someone working toward their own financial or real estate goals. For more insights and resources, you can always connect with me through my website or various social channels. Until next time, here's to building wealth, one decision at a time.